I get asked quite often about how I got involved, how I got hired at Darden, and how I got involved in teaching cases. And those were in reverse order. I got involved in teaching cases totally by accident. I came out with a PhD from Purdue a few years ago, about 30, and found myself at the University of Michigan. And the senior faculty said, "Who wants to teach the case course in finance?" Well, I don't want to do that because I knew that was going to be a lot of work. I'd had cases. I'd never taught cases. I was a junior faculty member. And well, it turned out nobody else of the other junior faculty even knew what a case study was. Had a guy from the Penn Economics and had a guy from University UC Berkeley. They didn't even know what a case study was. So I got the nod to teach cases. I thought this was the worst piece of luck that had ever come my way. I thought my career was over. I'm going to have to spend untold hours preparing for this. Well, if you're viewing this video now and you're a professor, a business school professor, and you haven't taught cases before, let me tell you my experience as I got sort of drafted into doing this. First time through, it was some work. It was definitely an investment on my part in learning the cases. And of course, as a junior faculty member, I was very unsure of myself in terms of how I was going to be challenged by the students. And what I learned within a week or two was it was transformative to me, was how, first of all, how well received the case method was by the students. And it just occurred to me, wow, of course, they're MBAs. They want to know, they want practical stuff. You know, I'm armed with all this theory, but the best thing I can give them is the theory laced into these real situations. And what I learned very quickly was I was teaching the core course at Michigan, the core finance course, and I was teaching this elective case-based course. And I was really excited about teaching the core course, had all the students there, and you know, they're the first time in finance, they're all excited, and that was rewarding, but not nearly as rewarding as teaching the cases because of the reaction of the students, how involved they got, how passionate they became, the debates that would happen because they had different ideas. And it took many years later until I came to Darden that I learned, of course it works better because this is active student learning. This is not passive. You're not lecturing them and having them sit there and have the information flow around their heads and some of it settles in their ears. But in fact, they're involved. They have an equity stake every class period because you ask them to be involved. You ask them to think about real situations and they see the payoff. They read the case, they say, wow, this is interesting. This, you know, I may be involved in this kind of decision. Now, they may not be eager to voice their opinions because everybody's worried about making mistakes, but they're immediately, they identify with the potential of having to be in that kind of situation. Even better was the second part of my story, was I then got informed by the faculty at Michigan, oh, well, why don't you teach this at Dearborn, Michigan to a bunch of managers who basically work for Ford, and you know, they at night. So I would teach this one night a week. Well, now I'm just basically frightened to death because these guys are going to be 10 years older than me, heavily experienced, and I'm going to talk to them about cases, about this or that. So I was very apprehensive about this. First night there, it works much better than I could have anticipated because, you know, 5 or 6 minutes into the class, they're holding up their hand and they're saying, you know, something like that happened today at work. And it's kind of similar to the case. I wonder if we can talk about that. So they can sort of hijack the class and talk amongst themselves about how the similarities between their work experience and the case study. It's hard to get that from a textbook or from a lecture. So it's the vibrance of the cases and the payoff both to the instructor and to the student. Is there an investment? First time through, absolutely there's an investment. But once you get hooked, it suddenly dawns on you that this is the right thing to do for the students, for MBA students. And the rewards are there for you as an instructor. And so I found myself being sort of touted as a hero because I was teaching cases to the students, and so I never let them know that I was drafted into that role. But guess what happened next year when the teaching assignments came up? I volunteered. I don't want to give up the case course. And I ended up teaching some Darden cases. That got me introduced to actually some cases written by Bob Bruner, who's now the dean of Darden. And eventually that led to me coming to the Darden School. And I did that primarily because of my love for teaching cases.